that even the plans and the drawings for these projects of the new housing agenda were done by the IMF and these globalist organizations. And their main objective is, most of it is coming under the social panel, where they're saying it's going to be for social activities, to give the houses to the people. But their main objective is to compensate those people who are going to lose their land in the rural and urban areas. Many a times, and Kenyans, this is a time where we have to be listening to what our leaders say. Because if you want to know where leaders are taking you, stay keen and understand the words they are pronouncing time and again. Many a times the president has pronounced that it is time as Kenyans. We have to free up land from rural areas and move to urban areas. And that is why these housing projects are done only within the towns. If really they were supposed to empower or bring up the poor people and embrace the mamamboga and boda boda, as it is said, these are projects that will even be done in rural areas where people have cheap or poor settlements. But the main objective is to take over the land and put people under a project in the New World Order known as the 15-minute cities. The 15-minute cities appear very pretty in the pronouncement, and they say it is a group of leaders all over the countries that are coming together to combat what we call climate change. But the reality is, this is the projection of the future of the world, where they want to put people in a sort of a concentration camp, and people will only be living within these small cities. That's why they name them the 15-minute cities. And the entire land and property will be transferred to these globalist organizations. Eric, if you do your research today in America, actually 44% of single family homes have already been taken over by these globalist organizations. Big companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, StreetGuard, all owned by these cabals I'm talking about. Now, the moment you take these people into these concentration camps, you need to find a way to control them. And that is where they're coming up with the agenda of what you call the digital ID. Let me tell you, Eric, printing an ID, ever since you were born in this country, issuance and printing of IDs is one of the easiest job a government can do. But you'll agree with me, for the last 2-3 years, this activity has hit a snag, and it has been intentional, simply because they are gearing towards the launching of what we call the digital world ID. The president himself pronounced and said that very soon we will launch digital IDs, and these digital IDs will be free. And he went mute on that agenda. Because what they do, what the globalists do, is they prepare you in their pronouncements. Now, these digital IDs, their main objective is for total control of mankind. And the worst of it all, the digital IDs come handy because of the introduction of the new world currency, which are called the central bank digital currencies. Again, I repeat, the president himself, sometimes back when there was the issue of the dollar, he stood in front of Kenyans and told Kenyans that it is time you have to sell your dollars for those who are hiding dollars, because dollars will be no more. These globalists are planning to crash the entire economical system we use today and bring in what we call central bank digital currencies. And these central bank digital currencies are what will be attached to your digital ID. So for instance, if Eric, you don't follow the rules and orders created by these cabals, your digital currency is switched off. That means you can't transact, you can't buy anything, you can't move from anywhere. Number two, the same digital IDs are what will be used in the election practices. So that means, my friend, you'll be waking up in the morning during election day and you realize and you find that you already voted for the government or whoever will be in charge of those systems. So all these implementations that are happening in Kenya are geared towards this agenda. And we have to understand as Kenyans, if you're not able to address these implementations that are happening in this country, then we are fighting a losing battle. It is until we start addressing and fighting this globalist agenda that's when we'll find a solution to these problems. I'm glad the way my brother, senior counsel Willis, started and said, if you look at all the names that were proposed by the president yesterday for the cabinet secretary's position, a majority of them serve an interest. I want to make you understand that in the economical, health, and agricultural fields in this country, the globalists managed to infiltrate and put their people in there. When you look at the economical pillar of this country, majority and the bosses who are in charge, for example, Kamau Thuge is a gentleman who worked in the IMF for more than 20 years. In fact, he was a director or in charge of debt in developing countries. Someone like Ndungu was also in the board of the IMF and also worked and served in the board of the World Economic Forum. When you look at the former CS, Nakumicha, this year in March, actually, she was appointed to be a member of the board in the World Economic Forum. The new lady Baraza, who was nominated yesterday by the president, has also been a member and has worked with the WHO. So these are people who are being put strategically to implement policies for the globalist agenda and not for the Kenyan agenda. So it is until we address these issues on a nutshell and speak as it is, then my brothers and sisters, we are fighting a losing battle. So it is time Kenyans have to wake up. It is time Kenyans have to look, flip the coin, look at the other side of the coin and also the sides of the coin. Because we are dealing with a government that has really become a puppet of these globalists, and their main intention is to dig us deeper into this hole of debt, hole of depopulation, the hole of slavery. And if we don't watch out, the implementations are being spearheaded at an alarming speed. When you talk of vaccinations today, I have been complaining online that many counties, I happened to come across letters from about 4 or 5 counties from Mount Kenya, where school kids are being vaccinated involuntarily. Today, in the World Health Organization report, even their scientists are coming out clean, claiming that most of these vaccines are harming these children. You and I know very well after the COVID vaccination, most of us who are vaccinated, a lot of people have developed very, very serious illnesses, from myocarditis to blood clots to immunology disorder to infertility disorder. But look at what has been happening. Ever since Nakumicha joined the World Economic Forum in March, she has been spearheading a vaccination agenda across the country for the last 6 months. Every weekend she's out there to speak about vaccination. In India, some years back, about 24,000 girls were vaccinated with the HPV vaccine. And these kids became so ill to an extent that the government chased the Bill Gates Foundation from India. Now remember, these big NGOs and these foundations from these globalists are the people who are in charge of this country today. If you look at even the recent rejected finance bill, they had proposed to remove taxes and levies on NGOs, simply because the biggest NGOs of the cabals have put foot in our country. So, Eric, as I conclude, I want people to understand that this issue, which is the bone of contention, we're talking about the ID issue, it is not a matter of government systems failing to print IDs. No. These are conditions that have been given to them, and they're delaying the process as they wait to launch what we call the digital ID, which will be conjoined with what we call the central bank digital currencies.
Oh, all right.
Yes.
This is serious. I also saw you saying something about our minerals, and there's been a very number of spaces here talking about minerals, and I am shocked to learn that Kenya has minerals. Kenya has gold.
Yes, my
I am
brother.
shocked that this thing they
Yes.
call diatomite somewhere here in Kriandusi, that there are other minerals there that are very valuable. And I was just Googling,
Exactly.
and there is that trona in Magadi, which is in
Yes.
billions. And I'm also told we have a lot of
Yes.
minerals in Taita, a lot of minerals in Laikipia, a lot of minerals in Naivasha. Why are we not being told about minerals?
Very good, Eric. First, you have to understand that Kenya as a country, as per our geological surveys, we have about 970 minerals in existence in Kenya. And